What's going on, guys? Today we're talking about cold emailing to sell SEO services. I'm answering a question in the Facebook group from Chris, who was trying to sell SEO and he only had a 15 to 20% open rate. And of those opens, only 1 to 2% of the opens replied. So we're not even talking about a 1 to 2% reply rate to the sequence. We're talking about let's see, if you have 20 opens and you have one of those respond, you had 2/10 of a response for 100 emails. So in order to get one response, you have to send 500 emails to get one reply with this current script. And even if we 4x the open rate, so let's say we had an 80% open rate, that'd still be below a 1% response rate. So that means that both the opening line of the email and the subject line and the body, all of it is bad. We need to redo everything. So I'm gonna have my work cut out for me in this video. By the way, if you want to have your questions answered like Chris's in the Facebook group here, all you have to do is click the link down below, grab the free training that teaches you how to do pain-based prospecting, right? How to build rock solid lead lists of prospects that actually want to buy what you're offering. If you do that, it will increase your open rates, reply rates, and meeting book rates a ton. Even if you're cold calling, this helps a lot. And on the thank you page, after you get access to the free training, you'll be invited into the Facebook group where you can have your questions answered by me in videos like this and just in the private community. So, although it's not so private if I'm posting about it on YouTube, but you get the idea. Great. So let's dive in. And by the way, one last thing, if you join the Facebook group, you're going to get early access to my cold email course, which will teach you how to optimize your cold email campaigns and how to break down these metrics and know what's going wrong and why, just like I'm about to do for you now. I looked at the stats, I looked at the script, I know why the stats are too low, and I'm going to give you a much better option to improve. And if you buy the course, you'll have the same sort of framework to do the same thing for your cold email. So let's head over to Google Docs and let's rewrite this bad boy. So the subject line is company name, content marketing. So that's already a disaster waiting to happen. If you basically the problem with selling marketing services is it's super saturated. In most industries, most types of marketing are saturated. There are exceptions and there are blue oceans always in any market, but generally speaking, especially for selling like content marketing, like SEO, it's going to be hard to break through the noise. And you have to understand when people are looking through their inbox, they're essentially looking for spam. There's a few things happening when somebody checks their email. They're parsing like a to-do list of tasks. So essentially they're looking at all their emails and they're trying to figure out which one is spam and which one should I actually open. Like basically which emails do I actually care about? And you have about like half a second before your email gets marked as totally spam or it gets opened or it's like left to be opened later on. And the main two things that impact your open rates once you get in the inbox, assuming you didn't hit spam, which can happen, which by the way, his open rates are actually to the point where I would consider him potentially hitting spam. They're that low, which means maybe he's going in spam and we should have a conversation outside of the script and outside of the subject line, right? There may be other things going wrong. But assuming he's actually in the inbox, the subject line and the opening line are going to determine if this person gets open or not. So when you're looking at your emails in the inbox, you're thinking to yourself, is this a spam email? Is it a marketing newsletter that I didn't unsubscribe to yet? Is it a salesperson? Is it spam? Or is it relevant? Is it from a friend or is it from a colleague, right? So you have a second to fit into the latter bucket from a friend, obviously from a friend. Okay, so after you're done and you get opened, now you have to actually have a compelling reason to reach out, tie it to a relevant problem, and then pique their interest in responding to you. So before we get to that section, now let's just try and figure out how we can get more opens. So the first thing is the subject line. When you have company name marketing, company name content marketing, meaning he's inserting their company name here, hopefully. If it's just company name content marketing, that would be really bad. But assuming he's actually inserting the company name here, there's a few things that are going wrong. The first thing going wrong is it has content marketing in it. The other thing is that it has company name content marketing. And the third thing that could be going wrong is Inc., LLC, etc. Bad data. So let me break down what I mean by these three things real quick. So the first thing is the content marketing in the subject line. It's just, if you mention marketing or anything like that in your opening line, SEO, marketing, blog, like anything like that, they're probably going to know you're trying to sell them something, and they're probably not going to open it. You want your subject line to come across and read like an internal email, right? You want it to be really short, vague, to-do list item. You don't want it to be, super newsletter-y. And I have a template for this in my paid course where I talk about the perfect subject line that maximizes open rates, and it shows you how I get 80 to 90% open rates. If you want to ask me about it, just join the Facebook group and we can chat. But this kind of subject line is going to contribute to your low open rate. The next issue is adding the company name, content marketing. I generally don't like adding company name or like subject line, the prospect's first name for sure in the subject line, because when you're sending an internal email, you usually don't send like the name of a company, right? You want your email to look like an internal email when they open it up and look relevant. And so having a subject line that does not fit the pattern, the mental pattern of an internal email, is not going to go well. And then the last thing is, because they're inserting company name, one mistake that I see all the time, which I'm not sure if it's happening or not because I haven't seen their lead list, but generally people will just pull a lead list from like ZoomInfo or Lucia or Uplead, or they'll have a VA put it together. And like what happens is the data is not clean, meaning a lot of the company names are like all capitalized, or they have weird spacing, or they have LLC and Inc. at the end. And those kinds of official company names are obviously mail merged. So when a business owner sees their company name, like if someone emailed me with like Jacob Two Winer Inc., I'm just obviously going to know that they should just say Jacob Two Winer, like if they put any research or actual thought into the outbound, they wouldn't have added the Inc. at the end. So adding Inc., LLC, etc., having bad data makes your canned template so obvious. Like people know that you're probably sequencing them, but you have to do a good job. Like you can't be lazy like this. This is just a sloppy mistake. Sloppy mistakes don't get you anywhere. So that's the first issue, is the subject line here needs to go. So now let's get into the body. High company name. Oh, that's the next issue. Great. So the next issue with this email is it says high company name. You do not address a person as a company. I actually had a sales training when I was my last job. My manager said, one of the things that he said was, you sell to people, not companies. Meaning, just because you're selling to a big company doesn't mean that you should treat them like a company. Treat them like a person. Every individual is unique. And you definitely don't want to say hi company name, right? You address them by their first name. In fact, in the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, it talks often about the power of the first name. If you think about how crazy it is, how crazy our names are, we're wired since birth to respond to our name. You can be in a crowded room with lots of chitter chatter amongst 100 people, and it all sounds inaudible and lots of noise. And then if someone says your name, just your name, all of a sudden that sound pierces through the noise, and you could actually make it out and respond like that. So we respond to our name, and you want to have the person's name in the opening line of the email. You do not, on the other hand, though, want to address them by the company name, because if you address them by the company name, then it's automatically not an internal email. It's automatically not from a peer. They know that you just put their... This is actually, I'm surprised that you did this. This is not a good move. Do not use their company name. You want to use the first name. Next, really hope this message finds you well. I am familiar with your work because I was working with a competitor in the recent past. I'm not sure if you have a person responsible for content. Okay. So this sentence alone is why your open rate is very low. And it is also probably a big reason why your reply rate is very low. This is killing your email, and I'm going to break you down and explain why. So starting off with the first sentence here, really hope this message finds you well. This is doing a few things. One of the golden rules of cold email is your copy must be dense. I'll say it again. Your copy must be dense. Dense in this case means say as much as you possibly can with few words, with as few words as possible. You can't have a single word out of place. Your email should be under like 50 words to 75 words, right? So wasting words with fluff, it adds more cognitive load on your reader, and they're not going to want to read your email. They're just going to see a wall of text, or they're going to read your email and not know what it means quickly, and then they're going to get frustrated, and then they're not going to want to process more, and it's going to be over. If someone has to think about what you're saying and try to figure it out, you're done. So adding words that don't mean anything or are vague or don't need to be there is a way to ruin your response rates. And here saying, really hope this message finds you well. What does that mean? It's a pleasantry. It's vague. It doesn't actually mean anything. And no one says this to someone internally. If you're emailing your coworker, you would never say, hope this finds you well. I've never seen an email like that says that ever, unless it was a salesperson. So cut that out, right? Number one, it just means nothing and it wastes space. It's redundant. And two, it's just like obviously a sales email, so you're just dead in the water. Next, I am familiar with your work because I was working with a competitor in the recent past. So I don't know what that's supposed to mean. I am familiar with your work. So that's vague. What work? Specific. Be specific. I was working with a competitor. Which competitor? And then in the recent past, recent and past together, you could just, it seems like a double language, like recently or in the past. Like, why would you say recent past? I don't know. It just sounds weird. This whole thing just sounds off. I'm not sure if you have a person responsible for content. And then you end off with, I'm not sure if you have a person responsible for content. So what you're saying is, I'm wasting words and I'm giving you a generic opening line, I suppose, that's supposed to soften this email, even though it actually just gives me away as a spammer. Then I'm telling you that I'm familiar with your work, but I don't actually tell you what work I'm familiar with or the competitor I was working with, and I have this double language here. And then I end off my opening line by saying, I'm not sure if you have a person responsible for content. Then you're saying, I didn't do my research or homework. So you're just like shooting yourself in the foot off the bat. They know it's a sales email. So far, this has delivered zero value. It's actually just wasted their time. So, and you address them by their company name. This is just like so far from good. This is very bad. Let's keep going. I did some research and noticed you have this page on page 7 of Google SERPs for the term Boston SEO. Then I went ahead and did a content audit that shows how we can come on top. I did some research and noticed you have this page on page 7 of Google SERPs for the term Boston SEO. Okay, so I did some research and noticed you have this page on page 7 of Google for, I guess he's linking to the page. I did some research and noticed you have this page on page 7. This is a double language. It just sounds weird. Google SERPs. He is emailing SEO agencies, so maybe they'll know what SERPs means. They probably will. In general, you don't want to use acronyms ever, because if the person doesn't know what the acronym means, they're just not gonna. It's just gonna be a turn off because they have to figure it out, and they don't want to do that. So unless you're very certain, you have a high degree of certainty. Unless you're totally certain, actually, you're totally certain that your audience knows the acronym. It's just so common knowledge that everyone knows what it means. Fine. But generally speaking, people don't know acronyms. And even then, you can spell it out. It just makes it more clear. You want to be specific and precise in your speech, especially when it comes to cold emails. Right? So fine. Then I went ahead and did a content audit that shows how we can come on top. So this is not a good pitch. It's everyone who sells SEO uses this line. Hey, you're ranking on this page. It's like they know and they don't care, obviously, or they probably don't care. And even if they did, you're the 20th person who like told them where they're ranking. Like, it's just not valuable. It just happens so much. The strategy does not work, right? Then I went ahead and did a content audit that shows how we can come on top. So did you? Because if you did do a content audit, you probably would have sent over the audit. So I think you're actually lying and you didn't actually make it a content audit. And they know that, so you're losing trust. And then you say how we can come on top, as if you're part of their team, which you're not. You're just some guy emailing them. So don't say we. You're going to turn them off. If you were to optimize this page with proper content structure, a few more backlinks, and NLP keywords, you would take it from page 7 of Google to page 1, which would bring more clients to your agency. Because Boston SEO gets 600 hits per month, and Boston-SEO.org's page is being read by approximately 200 people on a monthly basis. Okay, so this again, is this is a massive sentence. It might be a run-on sentence. I'm not a grammar expert, but generally speaking, this is very long. This whole email is also way too long, and it's all fluff. That's the problem. It's just a lot of text, but it doesn't actually communicate anything valuable. And especially if you open it up on a phone, which is how people read their emails these days, this is going to be like 4 scrolls to get through. So they're just going to see a wall of meaningless words that they're not going to want to read, and then you're going to get deleted. So that's why your reply rate is so low, and it's probably all negative replies. I'm just guessing. If you were to optimize this page with proper content structure, what does that mean? A few more backlinks and NLP keywords. I don't even know what that means, and I'm an SEO. So this is an example of why acronyms are not the move. Do not use acronyms. Okay. Which would bring more clients to your agency. Okay, this is also like in general, if you're selling to SEO agencies, trying to tell them how to do SEO, like they send these exact same emails to try and get customers, and they're failing also because these emails don't work that well. But definitely if you send the same template, like you and this other SEO agency you're emailing probably watch the same YouTube guy to like make this template. You know what I'm saying? So it's like they know they're onto you, and they know that they're not doing well with SEO. And if they did want to do SEO, I don't know why they would pay you to do it for them instead of doing it themselves. So the offer to me is unclear, and the niche to me is unclear why you chose this niche. This is not valuable for them. They don't need to know this. They already know this. They don't care. It certainly is about quality, not quantity. Are you now saying that their blog is low quality? That's kind of insulting. I'm a content marketing expert with years of experience, and I would love to help you rank your content. So then you're going on and saying that you're an expert, even though your whole email was written poorly, which is an automatic disqualifier. Basically, if you have long emails that are not clear, that are totally vague, and are poorly written, it is an automatic disqualification. You are no longer credible. So if you can't even write a good email, why would I expect you to write a good blog post that actually ranks in Google, right? That's not going to happen. Last sentence. Do you by any chance need any help? Once again, any and any, using the same word twice, just too much words. And you just went on and like told them they needed help, and then you're asking if they need help. Why would you tell them that they need help versus asking them if they need help? Why would you tell them that they need help and then ask them if they need help? It doesn't make sense. Would you like me to send over the audit along with my initial round of edits so you can check it out? Once again, this strategy does not work because everyone knows that you didn't actually do the audit. If you did do the audit, you would have sent it over to them off the bat, but you didn't actually do the audit, so they're going to know that you're full of it. And even if you did, another issue with this is you are essentially, even if they say yes, now you have to send over an audit that they're not going to read or understand, and then you have to try and get them to respond again to book a meeting. The whole goal of your cold email should be to get a positive response from your prospect with interest, and from there continue the conversation into a meeting, turn it into a meeting. So this whole email is a lot of work. I'm going to rewrite it now and make this a lot better. The first thing we're going to change here is we're going to say hi name instead of company name, first name. I'm going to make this abundantly clear. Hi first name. Okay. Then we're going to say an observation about them that made us want to reach out that's specific and dense and actually has meaning and value. And it's going to come from the pain-based prospecting, right? The philosophy. So it sounds like this guy wants to sell outsourced content marketing to his to other SEO agencies. Basically, he wants to be like a white label SEO agency guy, it seems. That's based on the fact that he's selling content marketing to an SEO agency. That's my guess. One of the main problems I know agencies have from experience in the industry is balancing client acquisition with delivery. Once you get to a point of a more mature agency that has, a few $1 million a year in revenue, it may not be the case necessarily, but even $5 million a year agencies I find struggle to balance growth with delivery. And it's partially because they don't know how to grow their agency outside of referrals. But the other issue is that once you have more workload, the focus shifts from new business to delivering the work. and it's just hard to go back and forth. So I think the main problem that we can solve here as an outsourced option is to kind of like help them balance the workload so that they can focus on growing and making money instead of having to worry about doing content. So if I'm thinking about how to prospect, I'm probably going to think about, okay, how can I find agencies that don't have are having trouble growing? And if I want to be really specific, maybe I'll look at like LinkedIn growth and see what's going on. Let's check this out. So if we look at this company, Web Mechanics, we can see that over the last 2 years, their growth has stagnated. They're about 3% smaller than they were 2 years ago. And actually in the last 6 months, they've lost people. So I think one thing that you could do is look for companies that are flatlined, that are having trouble growing past a certain point, right? Another maybe option is to find companies that are actually growing very fast and are hiring more and more and getting more and more workload and probably need help with delivery. I think those are 2 options we can try. So I'm going to make up an opening line saying, hey, saw headcount is growing fast. Saw your headcount has exploded over the last 6 months. Right? Sometimes okay, fine. So let me actually stop here. So what this opening line is doing is it's essentially calling out the observation that led me to think that they have the problem that I solve. So now I'm going to connect the observation to the problem. Sometimes wondering if it's hard for you to keep up with delivery. I help agencies create with white label content. Some of the problems with white label providers are fast delivery, no long-term contracts. I'll say pay as you need, pay as you go. Worth exploring. So now we are leading the observation to an insight around the pain. Wondering if it's hard for you to keep up with delivery. Wondering if it's hard for you to keep up with their growing workload. Right? Then you move into your pitch. I help agencies white label content, fast delivery, pay as you go. 2 quick benefits. Want to take some work off your plate? Right? And then I'll just say Jacob. So this is the new email. It's way shorter. In fact, if I use a word counter, it's only 47 words compared to this email, which is, let's say, 194. That's crazy. My email is a quarter of the length of this, and it's way denser. Now for the subject line, let's do headcount. This is the subject line, headcount, right? Or I could say content. Just say content, right? Boom. Way shorter, way easier, much more likely to get a response. Hope you enjoyed the video. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.